a short opening.
So, not only the icon gives myrrh itself, but also at times the wood will also begin to give myrrh. And even the glass. So I will give cotton to Father, and then he can pass them out to the faithful.
Știu că vrem tot aproape, dar dacă ne băgăm în față, nu mai văd ce din spate.
Lumina cade și nu se vede.
Ține-ți o mână, hold it out, hold it out. Don't touch the icon. Nu atingeți icoana. Don't touch the icon, kids.
So as you can see, it's a piece of paper mounted on a piece of wood.
The wood is natural, right?
No, this was made in Russia at the Sofrino Church factory. And it's a piece of paper. It was purchased at a bookstore by our parish priest in Toronto for $20. And when we found her giving myrrh, it was just like this. And at times, Father, you've held the icon before, right?
No.
No. Hold this.
Thank you. It's very light.
Yeah, very light. So if you want, you can bless the faithful.
Cred că Maica Domnului să ne binecuvinteze pe toți. Uitați cum se formează aici un strop deja aici în colț. It's a drop here, forming in the corner.
So what is interesting is other icons that come into contact with her have also given myrrh. In the Greek church in Fresno, they have little paper icons that they're going to pass out to everyone. 2 of those began giving myrrh at the church there, and I think gave myrrh for about 6 months. There's a Carpatho church just a month ago that has 2 that are actually, they have a bowl under it and it's dripping into a bowl. So it's and they're literally pieces of paper. They're not even mounted on wood. They're pieces of paper. Elder Frem told me that, he said, icons are windows into heaven. But it seems that this icon, the window is left open. So things around it become grace-filled. All icons are holy, but there are other ones that are just a little different.
Thank you, Nectarios. I would like to thank you, Nectarios, for his great effort. I keep him running these days. He came Saturday at 5 a.m. He sleep for 3 hours only. And we start running. Thank you. He's running all the way the Bay Area to the sick people. And this night he go to bed at 2 a.m. At 8 a.m. I was again up to his door, saying, let's go. So I want you all to show him your love. There are 2 baskets here. One for him and his wife and his family. And one for the holy icon. So, what we're going to do is that we're going to try to form a very nice line for one person. And we're going to say the prayer before we end up to the icon. When we are at the icon, we're just going to worship. And we're going to move on. We're going to worship. We're going to say the prayers before we get to the icon. Thank you, Nectarios. Părinte Ioan Comănescu, veniți aici afară. Toți preoții din altar să veniți afară. Vă rog, vă cheamă Rectarius. Sunt pe masă, there are some bags over there on the table. Please give us bags to put them in the bags. This cotton. Some Ziploc bags. Dați la fiecare preot câte una. Mircea. Vă rog să dați un pas în spate de la icoană, că știu că toți vrem să fim, dar nu reușim. Și ce reușim să facem, îl înghesuim pe Nectarius și Sfânta Icoană. Deci, și mie. Deci v-aș ruga să încercăm să ne dăm în spate cu toți, să facem loc și apoi o să începem ungerea. Cât putem. Cu cât suntem mai organizați, cu atât terminăm mai repede. După ce ați mâncat, luăm binecuvântare de la un preot, toți preoții pe rând vom binecuvânta aici, deci nu le-am spus încă la preoți. Ieșim prin ușa de aici din stânga, puteți să luați anafură.
In 1982, the Lord bestowed a great blessing on the Russian Church by revealing a miraculous myrrh-streaming Ivran icon of the Mother of God to a Chilean-born convert to orthodoxy living in Montreal. He was neither a bishop nor a priest, but a simple monk who, because of his extreme humility, hid his monastic life from the world and posed as a layman. His name was Jose Munoz Cortes, and 30 years ago, he was chosen by the Mother of God to deliver a message to the faithful of the Russian Church abroad.
This gift was not given by God just so that we might have yet another holy icon in our church, but so that we might work to fulfill His commandments. One of the Lord's most important commandments or instructions was to strive toward unity.
For 15 years, Brother Jose traveled all over the world to the parishes of the Russian Church abroad, and shared the miracle of the Mother of God in her holy icon, which abundantly poured forth myrrh. Tens of thousands of people flocked to this holy image during the 1980s and 90s, 2 tumultuous decades in the life of the Church abroad. With the collapse of the Soviet Union and the revival of Holy Russia, the hierarchs and faithful of Rokor faced many difficult decisions regarding reunification with the Mother Church.
Unfortunately, in the 1990s, we did not heed the Lord's call. We very likely failed to understand that the Lord was calling us to this. Of course, we understood that unity was a wonderful thing in theory, but, for a variety of historical reasons, we did not want to sit down at the negotiating table with the hierarchy of the Moscow Patriarchate.
1997 was an especially difficult year in the Church abroad, because the Lord recalled this miracle and the icon disappeared after the brutal murder of her guardian on October 31st. Brother Jose was attacked in his hotel room in Athens, Greece, and was tortured to death by an assailant, who to this day has never been found. His holy remains were interred at Holy Trinity Monastery in Jordanville, New York. News of the martyrdom of Brother Jose traveled across the world very quickly, and almost immediately people started asking, why? Why did Brother Jose have to die? And why was the icon taken from us?
When he was martyred, that was just such a shock. It was a shock to the world and a shock to me personally. And everyone was, of course, wondering where the icon was, and we sort of despaired of that whole thing.
I have no right to dare claim that it was as a result of this that the Lord confiscated the icon from us, but I do think it was, ultimately, one of the reasons that the icon was hidden from us in 1997, and its guardian, Brother Jose Munoz Cortes, murdered.
A decade after the martyrdom of Brother Jose, the debate surrounding the icon's disappearance became much clearer, when an exact paper copy of the Montreal icon, made in Sofia, Russia, started to stream myrrh in Hawaii. The icon first began streaming myrrh in May 2007, around the time of the signing of the Act of Canonical Communion, and it was revealed several months later in October, around the time of the 10th anniversary of Brother Jose's martyric death. It seemed that this icon of unity had appeared once again, as the Church abroad stood at the threshold of unification, not only with the Moscow Patriarchate, but with all other canonical Orthodox jurisdictions.
It is my deep conviction that the fact that the icon began streaming myrrh specifically in 2007 shows that the Lord has blessed us, returning this great miracle to us. And I hope that we will prove ourselves worthy to preserve this miracle in the bosom of our Russian Church.
В свое время, почитая заочно брата Иосифа и имея в России капельку мира,
Years ago, admiring Brother Jose from abroad, and having in Russia a drop of myrrh from the Montreal icon, I, still a very young priest, felt a great surge of piety before this vanished holy image. And how great was my joy when suddenly I saw what looked like the same icon, not only covered in drops of myrrh, but streaming it abundantly, as a sign of the Mother of God's abundant compassion and motherly love for her children.
щедрости Матери Божией и ее материнской любви к своим чадам.
And now that the icon has come back in yet another form, the Mother of God continues to bring peace and do miracles. Sometimes when you repent, God listens to you and consoles you, but this is really an extraordinary consolation.
Америка нуждается в духовном пробуждении.
America is in need of a spiritual awakening, and it seems that these two icons, the Hawaiian and Kursk root icons, are uniquely destined to unite all of the Orthodox jurisdictions, perhaps returning the Russian Church to the position she once held when she first appeared in this country, lacking any partitions or divisions.
Без каких бы то ни было перегородок и разделений.
As we celebrate the 5th anniversary of the reunification of the Russian Church, we also celebrate the 5th anniversary of the Hawaiian myrrh streaming icon. The Eastern American Diocese had the great honor of hosting the icon for several weeks in October, during which many celebrations were held in its honor and in honor of the reunification. The celebration's culmination was a pilgrimage to Holy Trinity Monastery, to the gravesite of Brother Jose, where memorial services were held in honor of the 15th anniversary of his martyrdom. The first hierarch of the Russian Church abroad, His Eminence Metropolitan Hilarion, presided over the services and was joined by many pilgrims from across the diocese, but primarily from St. John the Baptist Cathedral in Washington, D.C. The parishioners in Washington have a special connection with and reverence for Brother Jose because of the passionate work that their rector, Archpriest Victor Potapov, and his family have been doing to preserve his legacy. They came for many different reasons, but all of them had one thing in common. Their hearts were open to the Mother of God, and they prayed for the martyred guardian of her icon.
About 50 people usually come from Washington annually to the grave, but this year 150 people came. People can feel something here, they strive toward it, and I think that this has caught the eye of our hierarchs.
To be able to pray at Brother Jose's gravesite for him and for the reunification of the church was a great blessing, so I felt like I needed to be make myself represented too at this historic event.
It is very important that we not grow accustomed to miracles, always thanking the Lord that we were given this icon, that we can all pray before it, remembering the unification of the Russian Church and the Church abroad. This myrrh streaming icon truly shows us how significant this historical development is.
I'm sure that it was both a joy and a very large cross for Brother Joseph to bear, being the caretaker, and perhaps maybe that's something that we should also reflect on as well. The crosses that are given to us, and that we do need to bear them.
This humble Chilean man has had a tremendous impact on the reunification of the Russian Church, and his struggles are inspiring countless souls to seek unity not only with each other, but most importantly with Christ. Looking toward the future, many questions still surround the martyrdom of Brother Jose, and perhaps the most obvious question we face is, will he be glorified? While many Orthodox in America still do not know about the life of this righteous man, Some faithful in Russia are already venerating him as a saint. News of the appearance of a second Mir-streaming Iveron icon is only strengthening the people's desire to see the Church glorify Brother Jose, uniting him in our prayers to the choir of the saints.
As we know, Christ said that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. They glorified him in Russia long ago. Not officially in the church, of course, but in the Optina Hermitage there are akathis written to Brother Jose, a service to the Montreal icon. Icons are being written at people's request. Father Artemy Vladimirov has put out several films and pieces of literature. His Holiness Patriarch Alexei II gave his blessing to publish an akathis to the Montreal icon, in which, by the way, Brother Jose is commemorated in one of the Kontakia. In the Orthodox Church, glorification does not stem from the leadership, but from below. The people glorify, the people manifest the veneration. And when the hierarchy sees the veneration being offered to a particular righteous man taking hold among the people, then the glorification may very well take place. This year, we commemorate the 15th anniversary of Brother Jose's murder. It is my hope that, in 5 years' time, we will come to Jordanville not to serve panichidas at Brother Jose's grave, but rather, standing at his relics, we will glorify him and serve in his memory.
Last night we first brought you the story, an image of the Mother Mary that streams Holy Mirror. How and why it streams mirror remains a mystery.
But this morning, KITV4's Jill Kuramoto shares with us the other miracle the faithful believe was brought forth through the icon.
The Iverson icon, as it's known within the Russian Orthodox faith. To members of this tiny parish in Kaka'ako, it's known as a blessing, a miracle, and it validates their faith.
Yes, and I keep telling my parishioners, don't take it for granted.
The image of Mother Mary and the Christ child began streaming myrrh 5 years ago. Small drops that smell like roses.
Drops were appearing like dew, you know, like dew on the grass. Suddenly a drop appears here, a drop appears there, and starts flowing down, you know. So how can you fake that?
Requests for the holy myrrh come from all over the world. For those who believe, the holy myrrh is credited with helping cure a young girl diagnosed with a brain tumor, and a partially blind parishioner in the Russian Orthodox Church in California, where the icon came to visit.
The young man who was carrying the cross, like a cross in a procession, well, he gave a cross to somebody else, and started venerating the icon after the priest. After he did, he just stood there. And the priest said, you know, John, let the other people venerate the icon too, you know. And John said, I can see. What happened was that he was playing football, and, you know, when a whole bunch of these big bruisers tackled him, his helmet came off. And so, you know, heavy pressure was put, you know, on his head, and he became totally blind in one eye and about 90% blind in the other. Before he had the, you know, the accident, he was not 20/20, but now he became 20/20.
A blessing to the parishioners here, yes, but a greater responsibility also.
We certainly don't deserve it. It's through the love of God that we have been granted this miracle, and we always have to be very grateful.
Jill Kuramoto, KITV4 News.
The icon is carefully protected by the church. We have a link to the church's location on our website, kitv.com. And if you're a believer, it supposedly has healed everything from blindness, eye disease, cancer, you name it. So
wow.
It's interesting stuff. And I hadn't heard of it before. I had not.
Well, I think now it's going to get more attention and more
Yes,
people might be
will.
visiting it.